much for tuning in today. And we thought we would offer a beautiful offering for those who so desire to see the depths and the widths and the ranges of how we are able to transmute and transcend the limitations and the fears around persecution, how to move into a state of forgiveness, how to move into a state of empowerment and self-honoring, and walking within your light to claim all of the sovereignty that is yours, is your birthright. And I wanted to put this together because over the many years of my enlightenment and awakening, I've been moving through various stages and phases of the release and the healing of persecution. Persecution can occur over a myriad of years and phases based on your path of awakening, your depth of understanding and self-love of who you are. For those are always the foundations of clearing the more traumatic, dense energies that we've taken on and that we've chosen to play within the games and the themes within the various collectives and energies. And these persecutory energies can also be derived from many different star systems, as well as the Earth lineage. And they usually feed in and can be recognized in a myriad of ways. The persecutory energies are very subtle and can be very profound depending on how deep the wound is and how it's been carried lifetime through lifetime, and why often it can take years of healing the persecution energies. There's many that have come forward as light workers and as healers and energy workers in this lifetime to garner and use the lengthy gifts and skills that we have within the Akash, that we have within our DNA, and bring them forward. But to do so, we are also understanding with the polarity and the duality experiences within this galaxy and universe that we're also here to heal the many, the soul's baggage, if you will, the karmic densities that we've walked through in having those gifts in other lifetimes in which the reality and the collectives were not necessarily ready for it. And we've been persecuted in many different ways and star systems and in different energies, and why we're feeling it in these great transitions of acceleration and change. Because remember, anything that you're moving through that is a release for you to heal, we call them, and you'll feel the triggers in your everyday life. They're very subtle triggers, but you will feel them and you'll recognize the patterns, the karmic patterns, if you will. We exist upon a spiral of experience that we move through, and why it's very key, if you so choose, to start to journal or write down or get a feel for, tune into and feel into the cycles that you're moving through. And I absolutely have cycles within my experience, and I can actually send light to those moments in which I can feel those grand decisions or those grand energies coming forward to begin to transmute those densities and those energies that I can sense and feel within my field or my own life cycle, my own soul's cycle of evolution. And they can unfold in our everyday life in this reality with those that we've come forward with in the contracts that we've agreed to with our family and our friends and our workers and co-workers and the threads that we are involved with. And these particular threads and contracts are meant for that very reason, to inspire us to transcend the deep-seated wounds that we've come to transcend, to bring into a radical acceptance of self and begin to heal. Not necessarily healing the experience, but healing the emotions that were created within the cellular imagery, the Akash, the energies of energy that you had taken at that time. And they get trapped, if you will, within the chakras, within the energies of who you are as a soul, carried forward into a new reality for you to play out similar themes and games, to be ignited and triggered by those that you love and by those that love you, so that you can perceive from your awakened state, from your Christic conscious state, how you choose to move forward through your awareness, through your awakened state of oneness, through your awakened state of self-love, and knowing yourself as source, knowing yourself as an invincible infinite, limitless being of light that can manifest and create anything. And in those awakened states, you can process those energies that come forward from the chakras, that come forward from the releases of the fields, your emotional field, your mental field, your etheric field, your auric field. There's many different fields that these bruises, the Akashic bruises, lie within and reside within. And they can be seen and felt in very subtle ways in your everyday life. The energies of persecution can come forward in many masks, and the many masks that they can wear. And as I said, I've been moving through various healings of the persecutory lifetimes that I've held and experienced. Oftentimes I get images and visions to prepare me for a release that's coming. Sometimes it's in my meditations, and my teams will give me visions and images to prepare for the energies coming forward, so that I can prepare my mental state and my emotional state and my physical state for seeing things from a more expanded, objective point of view, so that you're not thrown into the emotional story and get stuck there, which can happen. I've felt it. This is why I can come forward and offer what I can, is because I've experienced the emotional range of what can be experienced under the persecutory energies, because of the many lifetimes that I've remembered and that I don't remember being persecuted. And there was very prominent energies that revolve around it, but they can be triggered in very subtle ways. Moving about your everyday life, and you're moving about doing your everyday errands and your work, and moving your kids around and dropping off at school, whatever it might be. And energies will come up. The feeling of unjust or unfair treatment. The questioning of your divine intuition when someone challenges you. You being in the right or the wrong. Unjust and unfairly or wrongly accused of something. The energies of victimization. Having to justify yourself all the time. Having very pronounced physical manifestations if you see, or if you experience, or even see on TV violence or anger, or others reacting in fear. They can have a very physical effect on your body, and the lower abdominal areas would clench up immediately, and you would feel as if you have to flee or get very frightened. The feelings and the energies of feeling segregated or isolated. Deep feelings of sadness or grief, as if you feel as if you're suffering for no undue reason. Bondage, energies about bondage and being captive, and just that feeling of you must break free. Those feelings of being held, captive against your will. So many of these experiences get triggered, and they're very subtle, very, very subtle. But sometimes they play out in your day, and you're triggered in very small and subtle ways. You might have a dream of being in jail. You might have a dream about being held captive. You might have a dream about someone holding your wrists and not letting go, or playing tickle and playing games with your kids, and having that experience of panic or frustration if someone holds your wrists. So those types of energies, they play out in very subtle ways, but they revert back to those wounds, those Akashic bruises and wounds that are held within the body and the multidimensional fields very, very blatantly. And we're meant to feel those triggers. We're meant to bring them forward and not suppress or oppress them lifetime after lifetime after lifetime until they become so compressed that in the lifetime that we're truly shifting from 3-dimensional living to 5th-dimensional living, would be challenging for us to release all of those eons of persecution if we're not actually going within and processing those triggers, the very subtle triggers that occur every day. I've had them for many, many years, so I understand and I get it. And for so many years, I've pushed them down in different ways. There's so many subtle experiences, like you're at a store and you give somebody the money and they say, no, you didn't give that to me, but I gave you this. And then you're trying to understand between the two of you who gave more money and who's right and who's wrong. And so all of those different types of energies are all threaded within the persecutory vibrations that you're here to heal. And it could be in an infinite number of ways that one could have been persecuted. Could have been persecution for their sexuality. They could have had persecution for their ethnicity. There could have been persecution for their spiritual beliefs. And it's really, 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 and we can't say this with any more profundity than we can say in this moment for this heartfelt impact on how important it is that we each give grace and give honor for those moments that we are triggered, to go within and heal those emotions that are connected with those triggers. Because when we do, we're allowing the entire human collective and the entire all that is, those opportunities to release judgment and fear and control in every way. Those idealisms and in every dysfunction that humanity has ever had throughout all eons and within our galaxy of having persecutory energies or fear or control. They are healed in every single moment that we go within and we allow those feelings to come forward, to be processed, to be loved whole, to be acknowledged and accepted, and then replaced with that higher self-sovereignty that you are, that Christic source being of light. So that you, whatever the vacancy that is left after you process that feeling of persecution, and you honor it within yourself, and you allow that energy within yourself to be released from the chakras, from your fields. Because there's nothing that comes forward unless you're divinely ready for it. And some of them can be quite painful to experience, but it's something that must be experienced, because it's within your fields to be experienced. It's within the chakras, and your higher self and your soul are saying you're ready to go within and deal with this now. Otherwise it wouldn't have come forward to you as a trigger. But it's for us to honor it and say, well, how am I feeling? What were the emotions within this experience that just got me so triggered today? Well, they were saying that I was wrong, or I was unjustly treated, and I didn't speak my truth. Your divine source essence, your divine source light wasn't expressed, and you felt suppressed or oppressed. That's also evolving around the persecutory energies. So persecution can be felt and experienced in so many different ways, in so many different levels. But it's really, really, really important that we go within and we honor those emotions and those triggers, so that those ripples of processing those energies are truly transmuted. And it's a transmutation of energy. It's that alchemic frequency that we each have within us to transmute by the love of who we are, because we do it because we love ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to create that self-care, that self-nurturance, to say, I love myself enough. These feelings and these emotions don't feel right. These triggers just get to me, and I don't know what else to do. I must go within. I must figure this out, because I can't continue like this. It's just, sometimes it can be paralyzing, because the persecutory energies have been so rampant in so many lifetimes. And depending on what it was connected with, it can truly feel paralyzing. And that's what I have felt. I have felt such an enormous variation of persecutory energies, and some have been paralyzing. And that's when the divine source creator and my teams and the Christ consciousness comes forward to assist me in raising, so that I can see the objectivity from a higher perspective on how I can transmute and heal, so that I'm able to offer that energy for others, if they so desire, to also go within and know that they can stand within that energy and that light, those experiences that we've held, and honor it, because it's your journey of your soul. And if we're simply oppressing and suppressing those triggers, not dealing with them and processing the pain, then it continues the judgment and the separation that those healings actually create. They heal those separations. They heal the judgments that we've had. They heal the judgments that others have had about us. They heal the judgments and the separations we have between borders and ethnic groups. So it's so profoundly important that we each go within, and any time that we feel the emotions of the persecution in any way, the separation in any way, then we're allowing ourselves to bring self-love and self-honor and self-care to the journey that is the soul so divinely designed with you and Source. To move from such a state of separation and density of thyself within the whole, because it brings forward great fear, and that's the illusion. That you forget that you are Source essence, and that from being beaten and oppressed so many times, you forget that you are a part of that divine Source golden light that is infinite, that is powerful, that can stand within one's light, and no energies that are discordant can topple you, or wobble you, or fray you, or have you running in fear and paralyzation. I've experienced it, so I get it. I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it, so I get it, so. And the profound honoring that the Pleiadians, the divine Pleiadians, the family of mind Pleiadians, thank you Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Christ Collective and Divine Mother Father, always with me in these experiences when I'm on my knees and I'm begging for the lesson within the suffering. I'm always shown and I'm always given that doorway of relief, because it's when I go within and create that dialogue with Source, that oneness is retrieved, that oneness is remembered, and those releases from the chakras, the releases from the emotional fields, the releases from the energy fields are transmuted instantly. And you call forward the heavenly angels of healing, you call forward the heavenly teams of healing, because they're always with you. And the moment that you say, I'm going to go within and I'm going to create communion with these energies that have been leaving me confused and boxed in, or frightened, or feeling as if I'm being judged for no reason, or that feeling of violence, or that feeling of abuse, whatever it might be that you're feeling. And it could be for unknown reasons, because you're opening into the energies of your soul, which are all things, all places, all realms, all frequencies, all timelines. So sometimes there's not a rational explanation. You know, it's about going within and saying, where are these feelings and emotions coming from? Not necessarily that you need to know where, but you'll get hints and vibrations, because these subtle energies of triggers will play out in your everyday life. Constantly being challenged about your truth, constantly being challenged about your beliefs or your spirituality, constantly being challenged about your ability to want to be free and soar and fly and create new things and want to get your wings out there and really start flying, but you're feeling the energies of those around you persecuting you. So again, these subtle triggers can play out in a number of ways, but it's truly about stepping in with that self-love of who you are, so that you can honor and claim your voice of Source. Because each and every one of us are here to be, to live, to express the divine Christic energies, and why we've taught for so many years now. You can always reveal back to those three energies of your evolution with Source, your soul's journey, to explore all that you are, within and without, what you truly are, and all that you exist within, and all that exists within you. So who are you as a Christic being of infinite light? What truly exists within you, your DNA, your fields, your wisdoms, all that you are as a Christic being. We say Christic being because it's a multidimensional, unconditional love of Source essence. And what do you exist within? What type of fields and what type of energies can you play within to begin to transmute your reality, your experience? And so as you go within and do this, you can begin to feel the loving family that is within you, as within, so without. And building that companionship of teams and healing energies with you, so that you can say, okay, tonight I've got some quiet time to myself. I'm going to go within. I've got my journal. I'm going to set some candles out. I've been feeling these triggers, and I really want to go within, and I want to get to the bottom of what these are. They're making me feel uncomfortable, or not in balanced state, or I just feel so wobbly and not confident or clear about who I am and what this is all about. And then you go within and you ask the questions. What is the highest guidance for these energies coming through me that make me feel less than, or lack of, or afraid, like I'm doing something wrong? For so many years, since I was a child, I remember, and these are just inspired by the environments too that we were brought up in as well, is that ever since I can remember, since I was being a child, of doing something wrong, I've just had that feeling anytime anything happens, it's like, oh my gosh, what part did I play in that? What is, and these are also related to energies in which timelines you've had where there were decisions made, and those decisions led to certain circumstances. So all of these energies play out in very subtle ways here and now. And it doesn't necessarily matter what timeline they're connected to, but that we go within and we deal with those energies and emotions so that we truly transform and transmute it, so that the all, those spiraling beehives that we all are, the universe is moving within new evolutionary programs, can be opened in that flow. Because as you heal, you open flow. You open the chakras to greater light quotient, light energy, source light encodings. You're shifting the light quotient within all that you are as you do so. Therefore, shifting all timelines that you are connected with and engaged with Him, to offer them the opportunity also in unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness, as you do. And so these energies are really subtle, but to allow yourself that time daily, that you go within and you honor that self energy within you, to say, you know, there's something coming forward. What's this bruise showing me? What is this energy showing me? Well, someone said this, and I remembered a couple of days ago someone else said that, and then I was in this situation and that was triggered. And you'll see it cascade into a core energy, that content of that energy, and it will be linked to a myriad of other timelines that you're healing, most often than not. You know, especially at this stage of the ascension game, where we're taking that shift into big vibrational timelines, into new energy, where we have to release 3 or 4 or 5 different timelines of those energies. But it's really important that we go within and we honor it daily. So if there's anything more important than we can say today, it would be that the persecutory energy can be felt and experienced in a myriad of different ways. And oftentimes it doesn't matter how we define it, as we've often said. But the core energy of that experience is what is wanting to be healed. From the soul, as soul is saying, the higher self is saying, we're going to send this through as a subtle experience for you. Can you go within and can you honor it? And can you acknowledge what has occurred? Can you acknowledge the suffering that you occurred? Can you acknowledge the pain that you had suffered? Can you honor that and acknowledge it and gift yourself compassion and love and care and feel that honor of the temple that you are as that physical body? Because the persecutory energy and the suffering and the pain energy is about us reconnecting with the truth, the higher truth, the source truth, that your body is the temple of source, of spirit, that we as humans have disregarded for eons, and why we've suffered the pain and the wars and the violence that we have. Because we haven't understood the oneness of who we are with source. Because if we did, then that would have never occurred. Those energies would have never occurred. To truly have that honor, and why living sacredly, an aspect and an attribute of living sacredly, above all and be all, is love thyself and honor thyself. So that in your words and in your deeds and in all that you're showing yourself, you're caring for that temple that is source. So that you begin that new cycle of regeneration and self-love and self-acceptance and self-honor for the new generations and the children's watching you and those around watching you. You're offering that vibration of sacred living. And that's how we begin to heal all of these eons of lack of knowing, of sleepy consciousness that forgot that our bodies are vessels, are God consciousness and physical matter. And we begin to transmute disease, we begin to transmute illness, we begin to transmute all the things that have pierced us, because we carry those wounds through the beliefs and the perspectives. So we can shift our beliefs, we can shift our perspectives, but first we have to honor and have the courage enough to sit still and go within and be present with source and be present with your higher self and your soul. You're honoring your soul's journey. Every timeline, every form you've taken, every role that you've played, honor it and accept it. That's the first step, so that judgment is released. You're not judging yourself for any of those energies that you feel. The release of judgment is the very first step in bringing it forward to say, there's no judgment, I love you unconditionally. Because, dear lighted ones, anything that you're moving through personally not only shifts the entire all, as you go through and heal it in self-love and acknowledge and self-acceptance through your forgiveness and your compassion. But you're also offering those vibrations to all others when they're moving through their awakenings that will occur. Because every single being on this planet is going to experience their own paths of forgiveness, their own paths of reawakening and releasing judgment. That's why we're here. We're living in the most dynamic aspect of space, in which we've had such densities, all that evolve and revolve around fear. And that fear has all been about judgment and misinterpretations and misleading dogmas, drenched in fear and guilt and shame and judgment. And there's not one person that's on this planet that's not here to transcend and release judgment. Because that's the only way that we move into true oneness, true unity. And we can't judge any being for the path that they're walking or taking, because we've walked that path as well. In other ways, in other forms, in other stories, in other themes. And why we're back here in this moment, so that we can release all judgment and heal all that we are within with pure unconditional love. Pure unconditional love, the only way. When you feel that pure and offer it in, even if you might not feel it at first, but offer and invite it in, when you're in those moments of your self-reflection, and you have that courage and that boldness to say, I'm ready to take myself to a new level of love, of awareness, of consciousness with Source. I want to integrate my Source essence. I want to call in that aspect of me that has been fractured and bruised. And I want to call it in. And it can be what has sometimes been termed as inner child work. It's not necessarily the inner child, because that was only related to that linear perspective of, oh, all wounds were occurred in this singular lifetime, and it was from your childhood. And that's kind of older psychology, idealisms. But we're talking about that inner child that comes to you that says, I want to be healed and made safe. Can you help me feel safe in what's going on? I don't understand. Some are from this lifetime, but most often than not, it's from the multidimensional experience that we're all moving through. Other star systems, other timelines. Because it's all concurrent. It's a spiral of energy right now. And they're being triggered right now, because it's important that we call them forward and heal them and love them and accept them fully. Accept them fully. And the flip side of that is when we have those controlling energies that we also play out. How we control the people in our home by the words that we use and how we say things, and we all have them because that's what we were brought up on. The minor manipulations that occur, or the briberies and getting people to do things and that you want them to do as parents and children, and all of the little themes that we play. Everything will be brought forward so that we can take it to a higher vibration of experience of Christhood, in which all are valued, in which all are respected and honored, in which all are creating their own boundaries of what feels good for them, and talking it out and creating that fairness, that fairness of experience. And it's going to be rewritten. How we parent is all going to be rewritten based on each and every person's comfort level and what they're moving through and what feels good to them now. Because how we behaved a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago is not necessarily feeling comfortable now. And it's meant to. Everything will be rewritten. And it's within those relationships that show us, well, how am I being triggered, and how can I go in and bring this forward to honor who I am as a soul? To honor those experiences and really look at it from the grander perspective. Well, how am I playing out this side of it? And then flip it to the other role. Well, how have I played out that energy? And then you come within and you say, I accept all that I am, and I forgive myself and all others for any frequencies that were not divine and sacred. And you're bringing everything to a new neutral perspective. And then it's released from the chakras, it's released from the field, and you can feel it. So how to heal those persecutory energies is to first acknowledge them within your daily life. What are the energies that are being triggered? And they're very subtle. They can be. Until they get so, if we've oppressed them so long, they then become, not necessarily subtle, but loud roars and those upheavals in our lives that are not comfortable, because we haven't trusted our intuition, we haven't trusted the inner voice, or oftentimes circumstances that are involving others as well. And things will be shifted divinely if your heart is truly on the path of self-love and self-acknowledgement and integration with Source. But you don't want to necessarily wait till it gets to that point. You want to make sure that you're honoring who you are in every moment with the emotions that are flowing through, whether they're discomfort or whether they're fearful or whether they're truly elation. Honor the good stuff too. That's nourishing your soul. That's honoring your soul for its journey. Every chance that you can, celebrate and honor who you are. Even if you're recognizing something that feels fearful or discomfort, you can say, wow, I'm getting this, I get this. My emotions are showing me. Your emotions are your gauge, your directive to say there's something going on that you need to connect with at a deeper level, so that you can look at it from that perspective of the Christic vibration. How can I bring wholeness and oneness and unconditional love to this? Because that's the Christed vibration, which your cells are now operating at. The crystalline grids are now operating at. The energies gifted from Mother, Father, Source are now operating on that. And that will continue to intensify. So any emotion or any energy that is within the fields, your multidimensional essence of who you are as a soul, going to be brought back in and triggered until it's brought to that whole state of self-acceptance. Accepting you as Source is accepting all of you, not just the parts that feel good when you're meditating with your friends. And this is where sometimes people move through what's called the dark night of the soul, or the negative ego. Because the negative ego's job is to keep you safe. And sometimes it creates negative self-sabotage experiences, which is why we've called it the negative ego. Because the ego only wants to keep you safe. But if you're not going to go within and deal with those issues that are fearful, persecutory, because you're not sure about what that means, because there's so many definitions and judgments in our society. So it's about getting over that hurdle first. And each and every one of us, every time that we do go within and nurture and honor these experiences, we're releasing the definitions of the society, those imprints of the society that stop us from truly talking about these experiences, from talking about those experiences of the dark night of the soul, or the mental psyche that we go through awakening. Because there's so many stigmas, and it's based on old ideologies of old concepts and teachings that are ready to be rewritten. What psychology was 100 years ago is not what it is today, because we are understanding consciousness in a new way now. We are consciousness. That's all we are in physical form. We're Source essence, and we belong to the all, and we experience the all through our every moment for moment unveiling. So how may we bring forward those moments that do feel out of comfort, that do feel drenched in fear, or not accepting thyself, or not honoring thyself, or walking within your light and caving when you feel and sense negative energies? How can this be healed and brought to that sovereign Christed state where you're standing with your staff of power and your staff of your Lord Michael Truth, and you're owning who you are, and you're claiming who you are, and you're speaking your truth with divine sovereignty and divine clarity and divine self-knowing? And it's allowing yourself those moments to be vulnerable with you. Accept and honor what you're feeling. Allow yourself to purge what wants to be purged. As painful as it might feel, and as hesitant as you might feel, you'll always have the strength and the power and the teams with you if it's coming forward. You always will. I understand this. I get it. I've been on the floor many times. Been on the floor many times, praying for the lesson to be revealed, praying for the suffering to stop. Because I am an empath and I'm a crystalline child, so the things that get triggered in me, as any other crystalline child, are magnified and amplified times 10. So what others may feel or move through their day with, not even recognizing, those with the crystalline energies or empaths or heightened vibratory DNA, now that more and more people are awakening and clearing and opening up to who they are as crystalline energies, more and more people will feel these amplifications. And to truly understand them and release the stigma, release the definitions of judgment that we've held against one another for moving through such dynamic experiences of the soul. Because if we've moved through those experiences of the soul, we absolutely have every energy of light within us to transcend it and transmute it and bring profound healing within the all to thyself. And your soul will feel and honor that light quotient in return. You will have that great reverence for yourself. You'll have that great self-love and self-honor and self-perseverance to know that you can and you are every bit worthy of the source essence that is calling you to go within and heal it and love it. And so allow those steps of daily self-nourishment and journal, or whatever brings you solace in how you bring those emotions forward. What did I feel? You don't necessarily have to stay stuck within the experience. And sometimes if you're a visionary, or if you do have empathic or psychic abilities and you see dreams or visions that are disturbing or that replay over and over again, you don't necessarily have to bring that story or that vision over and over and over again, because that can also allow that feeling of being stuck, especially those with heightened inner visionary capabilities. But what that vision is bringing you is the feeling that you're here to heal and transmute. That's what all visionary work is about. It's about what is the energetic story that needs to be healed. What is the energetic properties within that vision so that you can create a higher choice. So it's not necessarily the experience for us to get stuck within. And because it's so new, sometimes we do. We get stuck within those stories for a little bit until you say, this just isn't working. I keep replaying this. And it's a pattern that gets replayed. So to activate yourself away from those patterns or just transcend it, you pull from what you need from that vision, the energetic properties within that vision or that dream. How did you feel within that dream? Always go with the feeling of the dream or the vision. What was it making you feel? Because it's you, your higher self gifting you, the soul gifting you with those emotions that it wants you to feel, so that you can wake up and say, why did I feel that? How did that, boy, that really got to me. What was that about? That's how we just release it. And sometimes if you do that with your dreams every morning, journal and release those emotions from your dreams every morning, then you're not carrying it with you throughout the day until it gets compacted and added with other stuff. So it's really important that we do honor what we're moving through, and we can really move through them quite quickly when we get into that practice and that new sacred behaving, treating yourself as sacred and honoring everything that you're moving through as sacred, because you want to honor it. You have an amazing journey. You've walked an amazing path. You have great experience that you're now here to share and help others in doing so, and to hold space when they're going through their stuff, because everybody's got stuff. Everybody's got their stuff, and it's not for anyone to be judgmental of, because we've all walked it, and we're all here to help one another release every ounce of judgment so that we transcend and we move into with divine open hearts and great excitement and childlike play and childlike innocence with oneness. And when you have that compassion for yourself and the journeys that you've walked, and you've been brave enough and bold enough to honor all that you are, and accept all that you are, and love all that you are, and forgive all that you are, you become that master that walks the earth and shows others by example. By forgiveness and kindness and self-acceptance, accepting all that you are. All that you are, in all that we've defined anything to be. And that's the hugest, the biggest, the most transformative definition for humanity as a collective, is transforming our collective judgments, because they've been eons in the making. And as we transcend these collective judgments, these imprints, societal imprints that live within the DNA, that live within the society as we walk about on the earth, released karmically when we have these beautiful celestial alignments and all of these blessings and these gifts that were being offered from every direction, within and without. They inspire these judgments and the societal separation for us to look at in very profound ways sometimes. And for those that are still so asleep, sometimes it takes big shakeups for them to truly start questioning, is this okay how we treat children? Is this okay how we treat one another? Is this okay how we have these judgments about ourselves? So there will be many, many things that come forward, because Source Creator, the plan and the ideals for evolution, for every soul, for every particle, is the opportunity to see itself as the all. however long it will take, because Source will never give up. And this is what I know to be true. There is unconditional and undeniable support and help for you. And the more that you go within and love and heal yourself and accept all that you are in every moment, forgiving thyself and forgiving all others, forgiving thyself and forgiving all others. I love myself, I love all others, for you are God, I am God. Source, creator, spirit, however you choose to define the all that is that creates galaxies, universes, and life. The particles within you are God consciousness, waiting to create with you. And you will feel it in every way. The consciousness templates, the new fields of play, the new dimensions, the new realities, the new experiences, as you let go and transcend the densities that keep triggering through your day and through your weeks. And so it's worth the ride. It's worth going in every day, and it's worth connecting with yourself in a loving and sacred way. Even if you don't know what's within, to be healed and transcended. Even if you just want to go in and give yourself love, I'm going to go in and honor myself today. I can reflect upon my day, and it seems I've had a really great day, and I want to honor that. I want to celebrate that. Because that's healing too. Healing doesn't have to be so heavy and laborious or feeling like it's a chore. Because it's the honoring of who you are as spirit, as source, as a journey of the divine source essence in any realm. And then as you do, because love is directly connected with your empowerment and your clarity and your self-knowing and your honor and your confidence, as you stand as the Lord Michael energy. That's why we have the archetypes. That's why we have the archangels and the ascended masters. They're archetypal energies of the all that we belong to, that we can call in and invite in to be and live with us as we experience our self-healing, as we experience our self-expansion, as we experience our self-exploration and our self-expression. How may I pull in my wisest, most profound expression of who I am in this moment based on all that I've been and all that I've experienced, because it's so important for me that I be all that I am and I share my Christed voice. And then you be present with your source essence. You be present with all that you are as love and light. And those inspirations will come forward. And that's how you open within creational flow. You're not only honoring yourself for all that you are as source, you're honoring your soul's journey for every step you've ever taken, with every challenge and triumph, with every time that you've given up, with every time that there may have been things of great discomfort and great pain and great suffering or tragedy. But those were the experiences that can transmute and catalyze you into a whole new field of light. Truly, 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 because that's the alchemic process. When you release that density that's been held in your body for eons, carried it with you every lifetime to resolve, or your field. Your field is every lifetime you've ever had. And when that gets released and transmuted, it opens up light quotient for all that you are as a soul, the all soul, allowing all other parts of you on any other planets of you to take open into that light quotient you've just transmuted into, and you feel lighter, your body feels lighter, your chemistry changes. And you can feel these releases in different ways by, the physical changes that your body goes through. You're wanting lots and lots of water. You wake up really pasty and really thirsty in the morning because you're actually creating new cells of higher light quotient as you've gone through a huge release and a purge. Or acne. I recently just had one, and so my mouth has been super, super pasty, really wanting to get more water and breaking out in acne, and really disruptive sleep. My sleep patterns really been disrupted, and heat, huge flashes of heat as the body is creating higher rotating, higher oscillating cells. So you'll feel into the subtleties as you release and you step into a new light quotient that you're given and offered through your heart chakra. And you can feel into your times in which you nurture yourself and you have those self-meditations on what chakra is requiring the guidance and the healing, and ask for those wounds and ask for those energies that are most prominent in your experience that are coming forward as the subtle triggers. What is most important for me to heal in this moment of now, or for me to acknowledge? What is most important for me to celebrate? What is most important for me to now shift into something new and begin creating with? Because we all have our cycles and we all have our phases. So the more you understand and know who you are and allow yourself that honor of self-reflection every day. You'll get a feel for your cycles. So when is it a creative cycle to begin co-creating as source? Invite source through to live in the creational flow. Or when is it time just to sit and allow things to live through you and allow for you to receive? As you've gone through a huge purge, it will be a time for receiving. Just allow yourself a couple of days to receive extra love from the angels, and call the angels in 2 or 3 times a day. I call the angels, the healing angels, in to assist me in repairing my cells and repairing my fields, and releasing any energies and entities and contracts or agreements that no longer serve, because you're constantly shifting into these new alchemic frequencies of who you are, and they will continue to speed up. So it's good that you get into a self-care practice in the morning and at night, so that you're not carrying forward any energies that need to be resolved. And you're allowing that sacred embrace of the dreams, because your dreams are showing you what's ready to be honored, what's ready to be acknowledged, what's ready to be forgiven, what's ready to be loved, and what's ready to be created. And so there's cycles, and it's a brilliant, brilliant, elegant, simple design. But we're now awakening into this divine consciousness that allows us to let go of stigmas and definitions that hold us in such limitation and de-evolution. And that's releasing what we thought about who we are as mental, spiritual, intelligent, beautiful, spirited beings of matter, of source matter, of multidimensional intelligence. That the intelligence that exists within our cells and within our DNA is infinite, is source. And to truly let go of the stigmas and the definitions that hold us in such limitation and boxes or definitions about who we think we are, when we need to truly look within the heart space, the heart portal that shows us our existence within all that is and can't be put in any one box, and shouldn't be, because it's source. We're carrying lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, star systems upon star systems of experience that we need to begin to honor and awaken to. Not be afraid of, not oppress or suppress, but to release the definitions and to release the limitations that allow us to feel that these will be thought to be strange, or will be thought that we're going crazy, or we'll have these definitions of others looking at us like, I don't understand what you're saying, and all of these stigmas that we feel and we fear around these energetic awakenings. Because you're awakening to the psychic multidimensional being that you are, and you're able to sense into those triggers. You're able to sense into why those things are happening. You're able to sense the psychic communication that's going on without even it being spoken. So it's time that we awaken to what truly is, who we are as multidimensional God beings, and we allow ourselves the more grander, vaster exploration of who we are as a mental, intelligent, divinely psychic, intuitive being of light, that we're here to heal eons of limitation and separation and smallness, and have it be okay, and have the conversation start to be normal. Have the conversation start to come forward and create that vulnerability, so that we allow one another to share who we are as humans, to share who we are as multi-galactic beings that have come here with great wisdom within those tragedies, great wisdom within those darknesses, great healings within those catalytic moments through which you heal and forgive yourself for something that occurred in another star system, on another planet, in another lifetime. Because it sets the vibrational standard and platform for higher vibrational living. And you become the master that's able to help others. And you're not stuck within a stigma. You're not stuck within a definition or something that's just not simply understood. And there's no fault to anyone, because we're moving through something we've never moved through. A mass, collective, global awakening. And every one of our ideologies and every one of our sciences and every one of our perspectives and understandings of who we thought we were will be rewritten. Our history will literally be rewritten. Literally. Because as the history is transformed within you, as you heal that aspect that is requiring your forgiveness or someone else's forgiveness, it doesn't matter. You can forgive someone and not even know who they are, and it will affect the light field and rewrite that history. That's the potential of forgiveness if done at a pure heart level. It's rewriting the history as we forgive and as we let go, and as we love all of those things that get triggered within us every day, you're rewriting the history through love and through forgiveness and compassion. And that's what the masters had always come forward to teach us. And when the Master Jesus came to me last week with all of these persecution energies that I've been healing, he was mentioning that the wounds and in his life story, there were so many symbolisms in his story. There were so many symbolisms. And at the very least, he was suggesting that what wounds do we gift ourselves in the lack of love that we offer who we are? Our own judgments that we have about ourselves, how we demean and degrade ourselves, our bodies, our mental abilities, our emotional abilities, our etheric and spiritual abilities, of who we are as source essence. So there were such profound symbolisms in who he was and what the stories he tells vibrationally to each and every human, as every master does. And that's why we all have those different times of our life where we're pulling on the archetypal stories and the healing energies of each archetype master and ascended being. Because their stories and their energies help us through what we're here to see from a higher objective and vantage point of how we operate within those stories. How have I demeaned myself and not allowed my source voice to come forward because I was afraid of being persecuted, even though I knew within my heart the source essence of truth, who I was as a truth and a being that I have every right to express who I am as love. But how have I denied that? How have I bruised and harmed myself in that? Those are what we're here to heal. There's subtle stories, there's subtle symbolisms in everything, if we choose to go within and honor who we are within it. Because not only are you within it, so is everyone else. And everyone else is going to garner their information, garner their wisdoms, and garner their healings for it. That's how elegant and divine what we're moving through truly is, and why it affects the all. So as you move through these persecutory healings, you open within grander safety of oneself. And these are the benefits of healing those persecution energies that we talked about at the beginning, and we offer them forward just as examples. There are far many more examples, but we just offered them as examples from the many years that I've been healing my energies and layers of persecution. And you become to feel more centered and balanced and harmonic as the source essence of who you are as you heal them. You create that safety within yourself, that inner child that wants to feel safe, that doesn't want to feel captive, that doesn't want to feel held in or boxed in by social stigmas or social rules, wants to create with abandon, wants to create and soar and fly. You have that inner peace and that oneness or the tranquility that you seek, not being on edge all the time and wondering what's going to go wrong or what's going to happen. That subtle feeling within your stomach that something big is going to happen and it might not be good. Those are all those feelings of persecution, being dragged away, and whatever it was that we experienced, because many of the persecutions experienced in an infinite number of ways, and none of them were very pleasing, obviously. But again, it's not about the experience that we focus on in the healing, it's about the emotions, releasing the suffering, releasing the pain, releasing the isolation or the abandonment, whatever it was. That's the emotion that you're healing. And it opens you up to all of these really good emotions like safety and inner peace and oneness, inner clarity, joy, happiness in who you are, happiness in your path here upon earth, and feeling like you want to check out all the time. You're actually happy. You're honoring who you are as a soul and a spirit. You're not being held captive by those lifetimes or energies. You create great self-clarity, self-empowerment. You increase your creativity because now you're opening up to create. Once those densities have been released, you offer the creational flow and you begin creativity in your greatness of whatever you and source are creating. Independence and sovereignty, claiming that inner light as your sovereign light. You have every right to speak your divine sacred truth. Purity and resonance, you get to feel the purity of who you are with source when you're going within and having those daily reflections and those sacred communion times with you and source and your higher self and your soul, because you're honoring it. That sacredness, you begin to start living sacredly, and you begin to honor every emotion that's coming forward and speak it. And others might feel discomfort because they've never seen you act and behave in that way, standing and speaking your truth. Well, you've never said that before. What is it? Why all of a sudden you're acting like this? Well, because it's important that I'm able to come forward and be spiritual without having eyes rolled or without having been made fun of, you know? So there's a certain amount of always shifting to higher paradigms of experience and play and co-creation with one another. And the families are the first places that these occur because they're the closest relationships. They're the most profound relationships and why we contract with them. You create a better presence with Source within. But presence is your peace and your purity with Source. That's presence. When you're just okay to be present without anything to do or think, but just your presence with Source becomes much stronger. Your self-acceptance is so profound. You're accepting yourself, and you can know that everything is serving you, everything has a purpose, everything has meaning, and you're garnering that confidence. And that continues a new cycle of confidence and presence and self-acceptance. And all of these things are cyclical. Because anytime you release something in density, you're creating a new cycle of open light quotient. And you begin those happy, joyful feelings of evolution. Self-appreciation, you're being supported, liberated, magical. You're feeling all of these entanglements that are truly subtle, but weren't able to feel or sense them before because there was the density and the fear locking you in to heavier energies, denser energies that kept you in those fearful, separative boxes. And you're opening yourself up to greater purity, greater integrity and discernment, unconditional love and compassion, so that you play in the greater fields of play. You play within those light quotient fields that are higher vibratory, that are higher dimensional. You've healed that all aspect of you. You're opening the soul up. You're saying, I'm ready to play in the soul playground of a grander field. And Source will offer it the second that it's healed. It usually takes a couple of days to integrate, what I've found, especially the bigger energies. Again, it's all different. It doesn't matter how long it takes. But, for really, really profound persecution energies, give yourself some time to integrate. Because you're going to shift your beliefs. You're going to shift your beliefs from releasing that pain and suffering and saying, I don't need to suffer anymore. After you go through a release, those few days of integration afterwards, you'll be tested and you'll be giving yourself those energies of testing your integration. You'll either have a thought that is from an old, denser pattern of thought, victimization, things like that, in which you've played, those negative thoughts, those negative patterns. And then you'll offer yourself those thoughts before they even think, and you start shifting the vibration of it. I don't need to suffer anymore. I don't need to think that thought through. And that's how you know that you're transmuting the denser energy to new energy. Because your thought patterns also have to change, because you've been eons in persecutory thinking, victimization thinking, lack thinking, whatever it might be that you're healing. So, but they won't be as profound. Once you go through that release and you're giving yourself a few days to integrate, you will feel that self-confidence of, I don't need to suffer anymore. If someone is saying something to you or they're acting in their same old ways, challenging you, you can say, no, I'm going to go do this now. And they're surprised, and you say, well, that's your stuff. This is my stuff. I'm doing it this way. So you have that greater confidence to stand in who you are. You're not taking on that suffering. You're not taking on other people's feelings are more important than yours, or their energies are more important than yours. You get to know and feel into the subtleties of setting your own boundaries. What values do you have for you now that you've gone through this release? Well, I value myself. I honor my feelings that I'm coming through, because I know that feeling allows me to feel the truth of who I am as Source. I'm powerful. I'm loved. I'm creative. I'm infinite. I can vision and I can meditate and I can co-create with Source. I feel my teams with me. This feels really good. It feels like me. I feel powerful. This is who I'm supposed to be. And you begin acting and behaving in that sense of power, that oneness, and letting go of those energies and those patterns of cycles that no longer serve. Feeling less than, victimized, limited, and on and on and on. So those are just the cycles of how we go about healing the different persecutory energies, or any energy for that matter. So allow yourself to feel the emotion within whatever it is that's wanting to come up. And you'll feel the subtleties of it. You'll, like over a week's time, you'll say, this has occurred 2 or 3 times, and you've journaled it and you've noted it. So it's limitation, or it might be bondage, or it might be feeling boxed in or caged in, things like that. You'll get the energies of it. And trust it, trust it, trust it, trust it. And it doesn't matter that you have to see the lifetime. It doesn't matter that you have to understand it. But what matters is that you're healing the energy and emotion of it, because that frees up the emotional body to go on and play, to be your true full self. So it's very powerful, and it's very empowering to allow ourselves to come forward and talk about these often dark and heavy experiences that have been defined as, sometimes as the dark night of the soul, or allowing ourselves to talk about, the emotions of persecution, the emotions of death, emotions of trauma, and all of those energies that are truly required for us to commune with and honor it in an honoring way, and open to the divinity of it. Because there's purpose. There's God within it. And those experiences in which you commune at that open Christic level, vibration, you allow yourself to heal and create that perspective that all things are sacred. It just is. It's all God. It's all you. Moving through adventures and series of unfoldings and series of experiences that you don't have to continue suffering and degrading yourself for. The guilt and the shame can end. You don't have to keep suffering. And I'm here to tell you that you are divine and pure love. You are the essence, you are the breath of Source Creator, and Source loves you. There are particles of Source within you right now that are reaching for you to acknowledge your Source essence and your divine creatorhood and your divine unconditional love that you are. You've always been. The perspectives and the beliefs that we've held are what we're here to transform and transcend, so that you begin to feel Source breathing with you, and the love, the unconditional love and acceptance that Source has for you. In walking your journey, in allowing yourself to persevere, in allowing yourself to be committed and devoted to the love that you are. And I know this to be true, dear ones, and I will hold space for you. I will hold space for your healing. I love you so dearly, for I am one with you. And our human family needs you, and our galactic and universal family needs you. And whatever pains or limitations you may feel, allow yourself to honor them. Allow yourself to feel the expression of those living through you as they release and as they are transmuted into love. And see the divine Source bathing you in pure unconditional love and light, as all that you are is healed and all that you are is transformed into a new, brilliant, divine, loving, glistening, radiant, illuminated human being with capacities and skills beyond your imagining. You are loved, so loved. Namaste, dear lighted ones. Namaste. You are loved and supported, and we love you.